Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fourth Down Focus. I don't know what episode we're on anymore. I've lost track because we missed one last week. Sorry about that. But we're back now. Me and James, no Kian or Caden. This week, I've got Amika Ibuka in the background. Fucking hell, I don't know where I'm pointing. This mirrors the camera. I've got Amika Ibuka in the background because the Vols and the Buckeyes play this weekend. Mine and James's teams in the college football playoffs, and that's what we all really care about this weekend and not our NFL teams because they're both tragic. I'm assuming we're going to start as we always do with our teams. I'll get mine out of the way. We've got beat by the Chiefs, obviously. Jameis has been dropped because he throws too many interceptions, realistically. But now we've got DTR in, so the season's over, as it was anyway. And I think it's just all focus on next season now. Even I don't want to win games anymore, and I'm the person who's massively against tanking. But at this point, we've got nothing else to play for. James, your weekend went well.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the Vols. Actually, I forgot I have that one bit of happiness I'm clinging on to until we eventually lose to you on the weekend as well. Yeah, just 5 touchdowns from Lamar Jackson. Again, I'm not angry because I want to lose anyway. I'm more concerned about next week, which we'll get onto later with the whole Falcon situation. If we might actually have a chance, and I really hope we don't. There's not really much to say. It's just this, and the whole quarterback thing somehow got worse because Drew, who was in, DeVito started, got injured. Lott was injured before the game, so Tim Boyle is now our starting quarterback for the foreseeable future. Our 4th quarterback of the season.
You're like us last year.
All this year at this point. You're on 3.
Well, yeah, that's true. I think we had like 5 last year, so
Yeah, honestly, it's just like I don't really know what to say anymore. As much as I was sort of I still am a bit like maybe we should wait off for the quarterback. I think we just got to take Cam Ward at this point. Just get someone new and try it because I cannot watch more seasons of whatever dire quarterbacks we're going to throw out there.
I heard that apparently Shedeur Sanders was seen throwing balls to Malik Neighbours last week.
Yeah, he had a Giants football in his hand apparently. As he flashed it to the camera, showed the little Giants logo. So at this point, either way, I'm not fussed. I was a bit against Sanders because I think that the attitude concerns me a bit, but at the same time, that could just be a bad reputation coming off a deal, which I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't know. There's cons with both of them, isn't there? I don't think either of them are going to be amazing in the NFL, but they can't be worse than what we have. Is the angle I'm looking at it from. They actually cannot be any worse than what we've got, so we might as well give it a go.
I think as long as you get one of them two, you're all right. There's no one else in that class that says anything to me. Milrose out of the conversation for me. Bama are terrible. They didn't make the playoffs. Nussmeier awful. Drew Aller.
Nussmeier and Aller have both committed to staying at school anyway.
Oh, they're going back to school.
They're going back to school, yeah. So I think it might be Dylan Gabriel unless he goes back to school as well.
It's not a very good quarterback year, basically. That's the point.
Unfortunately for a lot of teams, because basically everyone's been terrible this season.
Yeah.
And half the teams could do with a quarterback, and only 2 of us are going to get one. There's going to be us and the Raiders. But yeah, but then again, the Raiders do have the Jags. As Keane doesn't want to admit, they have still got the Jags and the Saints to play in their last 3 games. So there is a hope that they will win one of them.
Is Mac Jones still starting for the Jags as well?
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is still out, I believe.
That's true. We'll get onto that in the predictions episode.
And the Saints have Spencer Rattler because Derek Carr's injured.
Spencer Rattler, we'll get onto this game briefly. I don't know what the running order is, but Spencer Rattler, when he came into that game, was a lot better than Jake Haener. And they actually nearly beat the Commanders. They should have beat the Commanders, but did they bottle the 2-point conversion at the end?
Yeah, so the Saints scored the touchdown, and then instead of just kicking the extra point and taking the game to overtime, they went for the extra point, and they lost.
I've never seen a bigger tank move.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There's no way he's caught. It's 100% a tank play, because you just kick the extra point. Give yourself the chance in overtime, because you're then putting the game on the line for no reason. Because the Commanders were on the back foot that entire second half. You might as well just gone for it.
Exactly. They had the momentum on their side. They they get a lucky coin toss in that situation, they win the game.
It wasn't even the Chiefs either, so they would probably have a chance at the coin toss.
Right, there you go. Double-headed coin when you play with Chiefs. Same side.
A more interesting game was the Lions versus the Bills. It certainly didn't disappoint to what people thought it was. I believe it was 42-48 to the Bills in the end.
It was.
Lions looked like a bit of drama at the end because people thought they may have recovered the onside kick, but they didn't, and the Bills ended up with a massive win, to put it lightly. I mean, is that sort with the Lions now as well? I mean, I'm going to mention this now. Obviously, David Montgomery, MCL, out for the season. They've also got, I mean, who was it? The 3 defensive players who were injured now as well.
Aleem McNeil's out. Carlton Davis broke his jaw. He's like their second cornerback, so he's probably out for the season now as well. Obviously, Hutchinson's still out. They've got a lot of, I think they've got, I can't remember the number, but they've got a lot of defensive players out. And you've got to think that the Vikings are looking at that. Maybe even the Packers are looking at that and just thinking, we could steal the division here. We could get a banner.
It's awkward because, again, if you look at the running back situation, at least they should be fine. Jahmyr Gibbs is absolutely brilliant, and as much as he obviously doesn't really play full games all the time, I feel like he shouldn't have an issue when he now does have to. Like, it's not like people are going to work out to stop him, because let's be honest, it's too late for that. I don't think you can, in all honesty. So I think they should be fine, but yeah, you have it's the defensive side of things, because that's always what they were so good with, and now losing all their best pieces on defense, just a bit like, especially in terms of the playoffs, it could be danger.
I think the problem with losing Montgomery is they're gonna put a lot more carries on Gibbs, and if they don't choose to put more carries on Gibbs, it's going to be more of them games where you see Jared Goff throw like 50 plus times, and we've seen that can end badly. Like, we've seen him throw 5 picks in one game this season already. It can go a bit tits up, but I mean, Jared Goff in that game on Sunday, almost 500 yards, 5 touchdowns from 38 completions. I mean, he can perform like that as well. So I think the Lions just need the offense to carry them through the rest of the season and into the playoffs, because the defense is looking a bit dodgy at the minute.
Well, lucky for them, they have got a very good offense, so they should be all right in that sense. I mean, I'm just going to check quickly who they actually have to play. So to finish the season off, they've got the Bears, the Niners, and the Vikings. I feel that Vikings game, last game of the season, could be very interesting.
That could be a game for the division,
depending on what happens in the next couple of weeks. Because the thing is, with the Vikings, like you're looking at 3 teams in that division going to the playoffs. As it stands, I believe the Lions are the 1 seed in the NFC, and you've got the Vikings and Packers 5 and 6. So it's a battle for the 1 seed, really, unless obviously the Eagles keep up their form, which they probably will. I can see them sneaking into the 1 seed.
The Vikings 12-2.
Yeah.
So are the Lions. This is going to come right down to the wire, isn't it?
Yeah, and so are the Eagles, and the Packers are 10-4.
See, Kean said the other day in our Fourth Down Focus group chat, he was saying that the AFC is better this season. I don't think it is. The NFC is a lot closer in terms of teams that might sneak into the playoffs. Like, you've got the Seahawks chilling on the outside. Pretty much all the teams in the NFC West, they're all just they're all there. That division is also still to play for.
But the Rams are a 3 seed now after that awful start to the season.
Yeah, they're top of their division.
Yeah,
after the Packers beat the Seahawks. We talked about the Lions a lot in this game. The Buffalo Bills, by the way, insane team. I don't know who had them winning this game, but they did.
Not me. I didn't.
I don't know.
It wasn't I think they're not going to have a chance. It was like, I think the Lions are just slightly better, and on paper they probably are. But Josh Allen is just, if he's not MVP, something's gone horribly wrong.
No, it's between him and Lamar again.
I think he's miles above Lamar now after these last few weeks.
This season, I think he is. What was I going to say? It's going to be. I did a video of my predictions last week because we didn't do the. Did you post that anywhere?
No.
It's fine. I'm gonna reiterate something that I said in that video about this game. I didn't think the Bills were going to win because I'm scared that the Bills are a one-man team and that Josh Allen is just carrying them, which he kind of is, and that's fine, but it can't last forever, especially if he takes a knock or something in a game, then the entire game plan falls apart. But he just keeps doing it every week.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's just ridiculous, isn't he? I just don't know how you stop him. I know that you can, and I think A Bills Lions Super Bowl would be unbelievable based on last night. If we saw that again in the Super Bowl, it'd be a fantastic game to watch. Two
I think we're
teams
getting
very
Bills
active.
Eagles. I think we're getting Bills Eagles as much as you would like to hear that.
If it is, then I am a full-time Bills fan for the entire duration of Super Bowl Sunday. Put it that way.
I pick the Bills as my like second team every time the Browns get eliminated. Every year the Bills become my new team. I've been doing that for like the last 3 years or something
Mate,
now.
if it's Bills Eagles, I'll find a way to get a Josh Allen jersey, and I'm just gonna sit there and pretend like it's my main team and just go for it. I cannot see the Eagles win a Super Bowl.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, it's a wild one.
Speaking of the Eagles, beating the Steelers in a big win for their season and a big loss for the Steelers season, I think they should still be fine as far as the playoffs go for the AFC. I don't know exactly where they are sat now in that sort of. I believe they are currently
The
the
Steelers are
third
still
seed.
they're still top of our division, the AFC North, I
Yeah,
think. But
they
they
are the
do
three
play
seed.
they play the Ravens this week on the Saturday. We've got 2 Saturday games this week, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting one to look at that because the Eagles sort of if they win, Steelers, sorry, if they win that, then its division should be done.
It should be clenched, yeah. I
And
mean,
then if they lose, then they both go to 10-5, and then it becomes a shootout really for the rest of the season. Who drops on first?
I expected more from the Steelers in this game. Like I'm looking at the stats now. Russell Wilson dropped 128 yards through the air. You'd expect better from him. I really
Yeah,
thought that they'd be a bit stronger offensively, to be honest.
I mean, was it Saquon Barkley was struggling a bit with an injury? I believe he missed quite a lot of the game
I
on
think
the
he did.
sideline.
I mean, he only got 65 yards on 19. I mean, 19 carries is still quite well for somebody who got injured, but
Yeah, I think he missed like most of the second and third quarters. I think it was something like that with an injury. I don't know what exactly happened. I can't remember. But I know he was on the sideline for a while. But if he is injured, I don't think he is because I haven't seen anything mentioned about it. So he should be fine because
yeah,
they cannot lose a player like Saquon because he is leading their offense. Which I hate to say it.
he
He
will be
is.
offensive player of the year.
Yeah,
There's no way that anyone else.
I
The
was like,
race
it was.
looked like it was between him and Derrick Henry, and Henry's fallen off a tiny bit now. It's
Yeah, I
got to be
think
Saquon.
same with I think the offensive player and MVP have both sort of been run away with this week. I think is sort of the definitive. Maybe not obviously that Saquon didn't have like a game to prove it this week, obviously a bit on the lower side, but Derek Henry didn't exactly have a game to put him back in the conversation either. And against us, if you're not having a game like that against us,
Yeah,
then you're probably not having it again this season. So, but yeah, interesting game. Another interesting game in terms of the playoff picture was the Bucks completely dismantling the Chargers. Something I did not see coming at all because I did say I was really high on the Chargers and I really do like that the way Jim Harbaugh has that team going. But last couple of weeks it's been a bit shaky and this week was really bad.
they have had some tough fixtures recently. To be fair to them, they had that loss to the Ravens, and then they beat the Falcons, which the Falcons are in a downward spiral. We'll get onto that in a minute, I'm sure. And
Yeah,
then obviously you got the Chiefs, which is you're playing against witches and wizards and black magic there. And then Baker and the Bucks, who I never back against. I backed the Bucks in this game. I think they just look more complete. And I think going back to the Falcons, I think the Bucks have definitely stole that division from them now. The only thing that might slow them down is the fact that the Falcons have the tiebreaker over them because they beat them twice this season. That's the only thing that might stop them from winning the division.
I just even if the Falcons make the playoffs, they're gone in the first round. They are terrible.
And
They might be like,
they were good at one point this season as well. They looked really promising in
yeah,
October. Funnily enough, October.
kicked over. It must have been that because ever since then he's been terrible, and obviously we'll get onto that sort of thing later. But yeah, I really like the Bucks. I do. I think they're a good team. They just do win when it matters, when they need to. Like this Chargers game was a huge win for their season because it keeps them right up there. I can't see that as again the Falcons will win this week. I'm just going to spot my prediction right there because everyone's going to say it. We aren't beating the Falcons, but I think the Bucks will have the edge, and I can't see the Falcons winning out the rest of the season, but I can see the Bucks winning out the rest of the season. So I think in
What
that
I'm
sense,
going to see who they're playing for the rest of the season now.
yeah,
They've
I should have probably checked that before I made that statement actually, because if they've
they've
got
got
like three,
no. They're winning out the rest of the season. They got the Cowboys on. I think it's Sunday Night Football. I think that's the prime
yeah,
time game on Sunday, and then they've got the Panthers. Which another thing about the Panthers, which I'll I said it in this the predictions video I did. The Panthers are like playing well, so that Canales keeps his job, and they've got like momentum going into next season. But they're losing the games, so they can keep the draft pick. And then they got the Saints last game of the season, so I think they win all three. To be honest,
You're not wrong. However, the Falcons have the Giants, the Commanders, and the Panthers as their three as well. Like the Commanders is probably where they lose this division, but they're all
the
winnable.
Commanders is the big game.
Yeah, they'll
Unless
beat
like the Cowboys somehow upset the Bucks on prime time, but I doubt that.
I don't see it. They'll beat us. Obviously, they'll beat the Panthers most likely, but that Commanders game will sort of be win or bust for them, I think, for that division, because as you said, the Bucks will probably win their division with them games. I think that Commanders game will sort of decide it for me, I think. But I mean, we said about
Baker Mayfield is having an insane season, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
insane. If Josh Allen wasn't an absolute freak of an athlete, Baker Mayfield would be in the MVP shout. I'm just saying.
There's a few of them like that, isn't there? Like, I feel like no one's really on Josh Allen's even dimension at the minute. Like, I don't think anyone's even coming close. I think I wouldn't know who I'd put second at this precise moment in time.
I think it'd either be Lamar or Baker for me.
I think
a few weeks ago, Justin Herbert might have been in that conversation, but the Chargers have fallen off a bit recently, so probably not anymore.
No, I agree with that. I mean, we'll move on to some news, really, because as we sort of looked at it, and as you guys probably know, watching, it wasn't the most interesting week of games. You know, there was just simple wins, teams like the Cardinals for the Broncos.
But that Broncos game could have gone either way. It didn't,
could have for a while,
it could have.
And then the Broncos actually turned up to the game, but half an hour in.
You might be right about Bo Nix. I mean, he did only drop 130 yards. I'm just saying, but 3 touchdowns. You can't deny.
I think he threw 3 picks as well, but still.
Oh dear. Never mind. I tell you what I just said. Actually, that's shite. 130 yards. And 3
but touchdowns. I still think he's having a better season than Jane Daniels. I really do.
I'll tell you what.
I think it's got a lot closer in the last couple of weeks. Put it that way, with how the Commanders have been a bit mediocre in the last few weeks, and the Broncos have actually looked quite good. I mean, another team as well. I forgot to mention the Bengals did take a while to dismantle the Titans.
They got there eventually.
As Caden would like to point out, there is technically still a path into the playoffs for them, and it's not exactly.
It's
impossible.
Like they've got to like win out, and like the Chargers have got to like lose every game as well, and like maybe some other teams have to lose.
I think. What was it with? I'll have a look, because I think the Chargers have like a really difficult schedule. So they've got the Broncos, the Patriots. Oh no, they don't. The Broncos, the Patriots, and the Raiders. Never mind, that's not happening.
The Bengals have got us, which they should win because we're playing DTR, and then they've got the Broncos, which they lose, and they've got the Steelers, which they should probably lose as well. So I don't think the Bengals make it in. The defense is just too bad.
I think it's just a case of too little, too late for the Bengals, and it's probably infuriating for people like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, because they've been.
Did you see that apparently Burrow was like kicking off on the sidelines at Zach Taylor? There were people trying to like lip read. Apparently, he said like this is a joke or something like that. I don't know.
I'm not surprised. I mean, if I was putting up the numbers that he was putting up and sitting on the record, which they are sitting on, I would be fuming, to be honest. And
is there
with Jamar Chase?
Is there a conversation to be had about Joe Burrow potentially getting traded somewhere?
I think it depends on the Bengals off season and what they do, draft moves and stuff like that. I don't know where they go in the draft. I assume it has to be on defense. Somewhere where
it has to be. It has to be.
It's either a defensive piece or a receiver, because I sort of see the argument for a receiver in the first round and then picking up defensive pieces later on, because
I do think
T. Higgins is going to go.
Yeah.
I think he's destined to be a Patriot, to be honest. It's been
I've
been there for a while, and apparently they're going to throw the kitchen sink at him basically to get him to come. I just think it makes sense for him. Good young quarterback. He'll be a wide receiver one by a country mile, it's safe to be said, with Kendrick Bourne and whoever else is on their receiving core. But I think it'll be an interesting end to the season, I think, just to see where teams end up. I think the playoffs are more or less set now. I can't really see many teams I think like the Seahawks and like them teams could sort of just but apart from that,
The NFC West is the wild one because like the Cardinals are still within a conversation of like I
Yeah,
don't think they're going to do it because they fell off a bit as well. Them and the Chargers like a few weeks ago, like my two sneaky teams, and they both kind of fell off since I said that. So, but the Rams and the Seahawks, it really is between them. That's another shootout. That's going to be like the Ravens and the Steelers towards the end of the season.
yeah. The NFC West is that absolutely that division because technically any of the teams can still make the playoffs based on them winning the division.
Technically,
Because the
I don't
49ers are 6-8, so
I
they're
don't
still
think the
they will.
49ers. It's not their year. It's not their year.
No.
Also, is it a Brock Purdy contract year this year?
I want to say yes.
Do
I
you
think
think
because
they're
I've seen something
gonna?
about him wanting a lot of money. Like he
Do you
wants like
think
a
they're
top
gonna
10
pay
deal.
him? Do you think?
Yeah.
Because hear me out. Hear me out. There's a world. I could have put some crazy hypothetical shit out there right now. Okay, they don't re-sign Purdy. Purdy goes to Tennessee. Hear me out. They've got to give up on the Will Levis thing. I think Tennessee might get. That's just a random shout, but I think they need a quarterback. They might get one, and then Joey Burrow goes to San Francisco.
I mean that would be they probably would be contenders with Burrow because
Oh, they win a Super Bowl.
Burrow, Debo, Kittle, and then you've got
Debo's ass. Debo stinks.
nah, but come on, he's still a good receiver at this level. You've still got Jennings is looking better than ever, and then you've got obviously that defense is still a joke. It's still very very good when fit, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. I mean, I saw something apparently about the Titans wanting to trade up and basically throw everything at either us or the Raiders to get one of Ward or Sanders.
They should because they need to give up on Will Levis now.
It makes sense.
He's back to being a meme.
At the same time, I don't see a world where either of us or Vegas trade down because we need what we need too badly to even try and work out a way we can live without a quarterback this year.
Is there not a world where like they trade up with you and you get like a bridge and then get Arch next year?
Again, I keep saying this. I was like, is there a world where we do that? Because it sort of makes sense because I'm more sold on Arch than I am on either of these two. I think he'll be way better than either of them two. But at the same time, like, can we deal with another season of just being terrible? Because I think jobs are going to be lost if we do. And if Dable and Scowen still have their jobs come the draft, they're going to want to make a splash with the quarterback because they know that's what the fans want as much as you can see the reasoning for it. Like, we could draft ourselves like someone like Igbuka as a receiver or
I quite like Igbuka as a Cleveland Brown, to be honest.
I'm trying to name anyone, but do you know what? We'll move on to that next. Before we get into the NFL news, can we just point out the Heisman Awards were this last week? And
I had a feeling
how
you were going
on
to
earth has Travis Hunter won the Heisman? I do not get it, and you don't get it. None of us got it. I saw some arguments saying like, "Oh, he's on PFF. He's top 6 in receivers and the best cornerback." He's not the best cornerback. He's not the best receiver. So I don't really get why. Surely, in my opinion, the Heisman should be the best in at least one of his positions that he's playing, but he's not the best in either of them.
It's a weird one. I had a feeling he was going to win just because he's like a crazy player. I don't know if you're a baseball man, James, but he's a bit like the Shohei Ohtani of the guy who pitches and bats.
Yeah.
He does a bit of everything, and I feel like that's what it is. It's the amount of snaps that he's played. He's not a bad player by any means. I'd take him in Cleveland, but I really thought it should have gone to Genty personally. But it's what it is.
I think Genty's been absolutely robbed. Like, again, like nothing on like Travis Hunter being a bad player. He's not. But if I'm looking as like the Giants, for example, and as you said, if we didn't take a quarterback, we're either going corner or we're going receiver. I don't take him with that pick either way. I take Will Johnson on this corner side of things, and then I look to people like Bond, like Bird, and like Igbuka on the receiver side of things. I don't look to Travis Hunter personally. I just think
he's not going to play both in the NFL.
No, and I think he should stay as a corner because I think he's a better corner than he is a receiver. But even then, as I said, I think I'd still rather have Will Johnson from Michigan than
like I said the other day in the group chat. I think he'll play corner. He'll return some kicks. Maybe depending on what team they go to, someone might draw him up a few offensive plays here and there. but I don't see him being a corner and a wide receiver in the NFL. I think the physical workload will be too much for a young player.
I think I agree with you. We'll move on because we've like inferred about it enough times now. It was a week of quarterback changes or rumored quarterback changes. As far as confirmed quarterback changes, Kirk Cousins has been dropped after being paid. I don't even know how much absurd amount of money it was in the summer.
A lot.
I think it was like 60 million guaranteed he's got already or something stupid. He's been dropped for their rookie Michael Penix. Obviously, the big surprise of last year's draft, him being taken with the 6th or something.
Eight,
a top 10
think.
pick, put it that way.
I think it was 8.
When everyone expected them to go
9.
defense or offense, like a weapon, they went quarterback when they had just paid Kirk all that money. And we're going to see him a lot earlier than I think a lot of us thought we would. I mean, with the way Kirk's been performing, it's hard to really argue with the decision, you'd have to say.
I was listening to Pat McAfee last night. I can't remember who the source for this was, but apparently they really like him. The Falcons really like Penix, and they just don't want to hamper his progress by putting him in too early. I think that's what it is. But apparently they really like him, and in practice he's quite good. So I'm interested to see how well he plays. Obviously, I was watching him fairly closely at Washington last year. Obviously, he was in the playoffs in that big game against Texas. Yeah, a weird one. I don't know. It's just making me think once again. If they can drop Kirk, why can't we drop Deshaun Watson? Why does it take an ACL to drop him?
Well, yeah, I haven't got to deal with that problem anymore. Fortunately, we did drop our quarterback, thank God. But
we've also dropped ours, but it's not Deshaun, it's James Winston.
Still don't get that, by the way. But yeah, with Penix, I don't know. I just they really do like him, as you said, but I don't really see based on his college. Obviously, I have no idea what he's going to be like in the NFL. None of us have a clue. So he could absolutely prove me wrong. But I didn't have a first round grade on him going into the draft, and he only did get the first round picks for because teams were desperate. Because let's be honest, if he didn't go to Falcons, he's going to a Raiders, he's going to the Broncos, where they might have taken him instead of Bo Nix. So it's interesting just to look at it from that direction. And I think, as you said, it's like a Jordan Love situation, obviously not sitting in behind a quarterback as good as Aaron Rodgers at the time, but trying to sit rookies behind veteran QBs for a couple of years, so then when they do get their chance, they're ready to go. He's going to come in a bit earlier. I think, it's just see what happens. He's got a fairly easy game to start, so he should be fine with that case, but he's playing against us. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
I think as well. I liked watching him in college, to be honest. And there were a lot of doubts about him because he's injury prone and stuff, which definitely doesn't bode well with him coming in earlier than they planned. But I hope he does well.
Yeah, I mean, another one which was rumored quarterback changes is in Tennessee with Will Levis. I think we've probably seen this coming for a while, but Will Levis.
I think he has now officially been dropped.
Is it now official?
I think I saw that earlier.
Okay, but either way,
I'll have to double check.
Or very close to being official, Will Levis is looking like he's going to be dropped by the Titans for Mason Rudolph again for I don't know what time it's been in the season. They keep doing this, but and then obviously I said earlier that the Titans are looking potentially to trade up with us or the Raiders to take a quarterback in the draft. Levis's time and potentially the whole NFL in general, at least as a starter, Max is probably over.
Schefter did tweet. He tweeted QB changes around the NFL going into week 16. So obviously we've got Cousins to Penix. We're starting DTR. Tommy DeVito is apparently been dropped for Drew Lock again. We've got the Patrick Mahomes situation. Obviously, we don't spoke about that. He picked up a knock. Carson Wentz might be starting, and then he also put Will Levis is expected to sit for Mason Rudolph.
Okay. I mean, we'll sort of touch on that Mahomes situation quickly. I mean, it's going to be one game max. However, it is the Texans, so it could be interesting if he does miss that game. But I feel like even if he is still injured by the time the game comes around, he's still going to play.
That offense, he's the only scary part about the offense this season, Mahomes. If they put Carson Wentz in, I've got the Texans. I'm lumping on the Texans. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the Texans have their own problems on offense at the minute as well. CJ Stroud's not had quite the second year that people thought he might have had. But I don't know. It's weird. I think if I'm Andy Reid, I play Carson Wentz, and you just don't risk Mahomes getting hurt again. Because if the Chiefs make the playoffs and they don't have Mahomes available, they're not going to get that magic that they usually get. I don't think.
No, I definitely agree. I think it'll depend on sort of, we've seen him play hurt, but that was in bigger stakes than this. You think they're probably at the absolute worst going to be the 2 seed in the AFC with how things are going there. Obviously, the Bills could sneak the 1 seed, but I feel the Chiefs will probably just win out anyway. Carson Wentz, we haven't seen him for a very long time as far as a starting role consistently has gone. So it'll be interesting to see if he does come in against the Texans, what happens. But could be an awful game between them two because, as you said, the offenses on both teams just aren't working at the minute. But yeah, I think with Mahomes, it's just a case of how much do you want to risk with the situation that you're in, and is it worth the risk? And personally, I don't think it is because you're still going to make the playoffs. You should have home field advantage for every game bar one, maybe. And at the end of the day, it's the Chiefs and it's the Bills in the playoffs, so they're probably going to win again anyway.
I think I read that Mahomes was a full participant in practice yesterday, but I also think it was like a bit of a lighter practice because they've had like 3 games in 11 days or something like that recently. So they're taking it a bit easier towards the end of the season.
Yeah, but it's probably something like that, isn't it? But yeah,
I imagine he'll play because he's invincible.
Yeah, some black magic nonsense will go on in the next few days, and he'll miraculously be healed.
He's doing plant magic with Aaron Rodgers out in the desert.
God. And on that note, that is all we have for this week. This is obviously our review of last week's action, and next after this video, when this goes live, you will see our predictions, which will be just me and Max again, I believe, and we will obviously edit in when it comes, but we'll explain that in the next video. So thank you to Max for joining me this week, and we will see you all next week.
It's all right.